There it is. He's glad this show is free. So we were just saying it was a glorious day. Good to be here. And I thought that Donald Trump's inaugural speech was just incredible, absolutely amazing. Shouldn't still be. Back, you got it? YouTube, you there? Sorry about this, gang. This is yeah, there we go. Looks like we got it. Yeah, this is the world of like I said, it's not a mom and pop shop. It's a pop shop. Let me crank up my different chat windows and various sundry things that are more or less in there. Old people use technology. I think we should be doing this on vinyl. Vinyl. And and uh, and we'll get it out there, and you'll have it by October. We'll have to press the vinyl. Oh, oh, those. Oh. We'll have to press the vinyl. We'll have to make, I don't know, run off 7,000, 8,000 copies, open up a publishing house, distribute them to record stores around the country, and then you can go down and buy the record, put the record on your record player, and there'll be a series of beeps that will allow you to continue to click on a slide projector, which you'll have to go out and buy, and the slides have to buy those separately as well. We'll put those in mail order. But when you hear the tones, you'll be able to see the picture change on the slide projector as your record player spins round and round, and either that or I could put it in, what was that stereo vision thing that was so cool? Viewmaster. Viewmasters were awesome because they were stereo. Vinyl wax cylinders. That's right. That's right. Exactly right. Evil Otto takes a backseat to no one when it comes to retro technology. Wax cylinders, 2 stone tablets, mud plate, a small mud tablet, and a stylus. And we'll do this, F it, we're doing it in cuneiform. We're going to do the show in Babylonic cuneiform. And I can write a washing bill in Babylonic cuneiform and tell you every detail of Caractacus's uniform. And so in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, I am the very model of a modern major general. Yeah, it was great. There was a lot of I'm not making any sense anytime, Kenneth. If you're here for sense, you're probably here like the people who are here for competence. You'll be checking out in the near future. No, it was a great day. It was a glorious day, and I frankly couldn't believe the audacity of the speech. And I'm it's not that I don't enjoy watching my enemies weeping and gnashing their teeth as we burn the villages. Not that I don't enjoy it. I just consider it to be bad manners, just the way I was raised, British schools, and son of a hotel manager. Very good evening to you too as well. Can I get a channel? However, the just this first 10, 15 minutes of his speech was just this indictment in Black Dynamite, one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my all-time favorite movies. We'll do it live. I love Black Dynamite. Love that movie. Anyway, just to indict the previous administration, it was like a red meat campaign speech, and Biden just has to sit there and look at his shoes. He was sleeping, or one or the other. But boy, that was. I was watching that speech and I thought, I think this actually makes the whole last 4 years worthwhile. The whole 2020 election, the whole everything. I really think it was worth it just for that moment. And as I mentioned, if you happen to see the hot mic, we put out a hot mic. For once, I was able, I had the means to do it right away, because when we were originally going to live stream the show. And we started live streaming the show on YouTube. And I think we got about 6 minutes into it, and YouTube just shut it down. And I got a notification. I don't know why. I don't know what I said. Of course, you never know why or what you say. It's just absolutely, completely random. And YouTube seems to be the most immune to this MAGA movement. Facebook is bending over backwards to be more open and MAGA. Twitter was obviously bought by Elon Musk, so that's a free speech platform. A lot of the others are loosening up their tone, but but YouTube seems to be digging in, and YouTube is the one that I'd trade all of them for YouTube. But in any event, we ended up doing a hot mic about it. So third-party stream theft. Yeah, I was using fair use. I made a point of streaming C-SPAN. C-SPAN it's I pay for I'm a pay I'm a producer of C-SPAN. I'm a taxpayer. I pay your salary, C-SPAN. If I was a policeman, I think I'd punch anybody if somebody told me that. I'd say I pay my own salary. I pay taxes to you, you miserable miscreant. Now get in the back of the paddy wagon and shut your pie hole. Looks like Curatan says that loss 2020 may have been the greatest gift to MAGA and the U.S. I really think so. Not only did it give us a chance to see how bad the opposition could be when they went full on progressive, but it also, and this is the most important thing, I've said this before and it's really, really important. Mark Robinson says I was the third stream that got shut down for the inauguration. But I think this is really important. The most important thing that 2020 election did was it gave Donald Trump 4 years to think. Because if he hadn't had that, if he'd gone straight into second term, we would have had the same swamp creatures. He had 4 years of anger and rage, humiliation, and then this assault on him with Mar-a-Lago. It got him wound up, and it's an entirely different ballpark. Evil Otto says, part of me thinks that we maybe needed to lose to win. The first Trump administration always seemed to be on the back foot on defense. Now we're truly on offense for the first time in my life. Me too. And now we're going to see how quickly we can repair the damage. As I said, we need to do things quickly. Hostages are coming back from Hamas. Biden is still trying to claim credit for that. I don't think anybody takes that seriously. But I think the Palestinian protesters are going to realize they've got nothing to protest anymore because Donald Trump is president, and all the people that were crying about losing TikTok have realized now Donald Trump has decided to give TikTok a new lease on life and so on. I think TikTok should be banned, frankly, for the same reason that narcotics should be banned. But I can be talked out of this position. In any event, if that bloody platform is going to stay online and bring the worst of Americans to America, as well as supply the communist Chinese government with all the information they want, if that's going to be the case, then at least I'm happy that we got political points out of it. It was amazing. JR asked if I watched the inauguration. I was just talking about I did a live reaction to the inauguration. JR, it's called Donald Trump's second inauguration live reaction. It's a hot mic show. So anyway, it's a great day, and the speech was so audacious. It wasn't just ambitious; it was audacious. Is that two? I can't quite see it. Tim Poole says that Trump has already signed 200 executive orders. We'll try and cover that tomorrow on tomorrow morning. We shoot our right angles, so it'll be nice to have the right angles be more or less on the topic time-wise for a happy exchange. Usually we record the shows on Tuesday, and the big news story of the week happens on Tuesday afternoon. But anyway, I don't know, man. I just thought the whole business about the closing. I thought it was a really kind of almost poetry about Americans pushing back the frontier and and ambition and so on. Somebody told me that the whole Gulf of America thing, which I've been, as you know, a little agnostic about, was a 4D chess play because there are restrictions about drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. Somebody said that what he's basically talking about is so we won't drill in the Gulf of Mexico, then we'll drill in the Gulf of America. But in any event, anyway. JR says, Bill, I didn't know that a 44-year-old man with a double hernia such as myself could do a cartwheel at 3 a.m. on election night after Trump won Pennsylvania. You and me both, buddy. Especially as they kept holding it and holding it. And like I said before many times, that we did live election coverage that night, and I was feeling good the whole night. In fact, I was feeling good the whole election. I wasn't really. Normally, I'm just biting my nails, and I just can't bear it. But I was feeling comfortable this whole election, largely thanks to electionbettingodds.com. But when Pennsylvania kept getting delayed and the results started creeping in more and more slowly, I thought, what's going on here? And then there's an announcement that says Obama says that President Obama just weighed in on the election, says that we won't know the answer tonight and may not know the answer for several days. And right at that moment, I felt my stomach just go into a knot. But no. So now we have 2 years to do everything. We've actually got less than 2 years. We have 1 year and 364 days left. So we'd better get it done. And I get the feeling he's going to get it done. I think one of the things, is Natasha flabbergasted? No, she's just very, very pleased. One of the things that I think is going to happen by declaring an emergency on the border, Eric Blake says that China's responded to the ban by saying they're willing to sell off their control of the company. Kevin O'Leary says he's set to offer $20 billion, probably with a team. Okay, well, we'll see what that will do. Problem with TikTok is TikTokers. And so Rubio was confirmed. Hey, I'm embarrassed to admit this. I know we're talking politics, but it's a political day. I've got some interesting stuff to show. I know I should know this, but I don't know this. What about Bondi and Hegseth? Was the vote taken on them already? Were they confirmed? I really should know. I watched parts of Hegseth's confirmation hearing. Rubio was confirmed 99-0. So there's always about a 8 or 10 second delay while the ping goes out and then comes back in again. They get confirmed on Thursday. They're both expected to make it, aren't they? I think. Okay, so I think, and I think Trump made a really good case for the Panama Canal. I think he made a great case for the Panama Canal, because my understanding is that there's a clause in the treaty that says something about us being able to take it over again if we're deprived use of it, and if it turns out that they're charging exorbitant rates for U.S. ships, and they've got Chinese operators on both ends of the canal. He sealed the deal when he said we gave the canal to Panama, not to China. That's when he sealed the deal. So all right then, that's the way you want it, Panama. You had it. We gave you a real expensive present, and you kind of fooled around, and now you're going to find out. So we'll see. JR says, Bill, notice that the pop culture is starting to change a bit. There are white people in commercials again. I haven't noticed that. I don't watch too much TV. But there's no question that they've taken out trans storylines. That Snow White's going to be the last of the Disney woke catastrophes. That movie's going to make $30. And it's going to bring in $30. It's going to lose $500 million. Their company has bought the rights to Star Trek, and they're decanonizing all of Star Trek and Discovery, all of Picard, all of the Spore Drive. It's just fan fiction happening in an alternate universe. I'm telling you, man, we are winning across the board. AP posted an hour ago that Trump issued pardons for the J6ers. I believe that would have been the actual first thing I would have signed. I genuinely, with all the things, well, maybe after the border. I might have declared the border a national emergency, and I would have done the J6ers second. But in any event, it's just a glorious day. And all the threats and the assassination attempts, and those don't end. It's not like those are over. But once he took the oath and John Roberts shook his hand and said, "Congratulations, Mr. President," I said, like I said on the Hot Mic show, it doesn't matter what they do to him now. He did it. He did it. He became the 47th president. and that was great. Mobile Moto says, breaking, Pete Hegseth has received approval from the Senate Armed Services Committee. Now GOP senators have to vote to get him confirmed. So it looks like Hegseth is getting in. I thought Bondi was phenomenal. And they're just in full retreat all across the board. So now's the time to ease up and just relax, take our foot off the gas. We won, nothing to worry about. Everything is fine here. Let's all just kind of, celebrate the no. Now is the time to hit the accelerator and run them into the river. Into the river. Right? We got to canny these sons of bitches. We got to surround them and spend 8 hours chewing at that 80,000 man, 8 Legion army until there's nothing left. Just whip them out of their boots. Keep up the skier, says Dave Big Booty, who's got a historical background apparently. Keep up the skier is right. I would want to say that's either Bedford Forrest or Jeb Stewart, one of those two. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Hey, give me 1 second to turn on the air conditioning because I turned it off to record the hot mic and it's getting a little toasty in here. Hang on 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. That's just over here. It's not very far. Just on the wall. I can almost. Let me see if I can just reach it here. Long arms. The long arm of the law. So that was cool. And I have some progress on Major Mace Mattingly. So that's all turning into a really, really good day. So why don't we tee that up? Because this is, after all, our entertainment show, and then we'll jump into questions and stuff. So here's the story about where we are with Major Mace Mattingly, and I need to go back to basics because what you're about to see is a long way away from being a finished product, but I've got at least something to show and give you an idea of where we're going. It'll definitely give you an idea of where we're going. So again, just to basics, this applies to Major Mace Mattingly and also applies to the colonies. As I've said many times, Mattingly is kind of a 1/20th scale test of concept. So here's the problem. There are two special effects realms, kingdoms. They sound like they're identical, but they don't even touch each other. We'll call one of them CG for computer graphics. That's traditional computer graphics where you use a series of polygons and vertices and so on, and you shine a virtual light on something and the way it reflects and so on. So CG is very, very good now. Everything that you've seen in movies, all the special effects you've seen in movies in the last 20 years is CG. CG is very, very, very good at things like that we call hard body simulations. Things like spaceships, metal, cities, cars. Most car commercials that you've seen for the last 20 years are not real cars. So CG is very, very good at that. What CG is really poor at is humans, because humans are incredibly complex. There's an enormous amount of detail, and the skin has got subsurface scattering, so our skin is actually translucent. That's why the original CG faces look so creepy, because they look like they're made out of clay, because the light was just bouncing off the skin. When light hits our skin, it goes into the skin, it diffuses. It depends on where the angle of the light is. If you shine a light behind your ear, you can kind of see through your ear. It goes red. Getting all that simulated is a tough thing. But CG is very good at that, and as Marusha points out, it's also very good now. CG is very good with particle systems like fire and water. It's getting very, very, very good with that. So you've got this whole kingdom where you have complete control. You have complete control over the camera. You can build a model, a rover, let's say, a science fiction rover, and you can put the decals on it and the lights, and you can break one of the legs on the ladder if you want to. You can do anything you want to at absolutely precise control, and anything other than human faces, really, looks terrific. But humans just don't look right. They look like computer game characters. Even the most modern computer game cutscenes, which are the rendered scenes between the action scenes, look really good for CG, but they don't convince you. They just don't. So that's the CG world. Now over here you've got the AI world. AI works completely differently. AI doesn't um, AI doesn't use vertices or virtual lights or anything. AI takes existing video, real images, and recomposites actual photographic images to match expressions. So when you see an AI human, the reason it looks so realistic is it's not dealing with vertices and light reflections and all that stuff. It's taking billions, probably billions of images and averaging them out. And so all of the reflections and the eyes and the skin, and it's perfect. But the problem with the AI world is there's almost no control over it. You can have AI render or generate a beautiful woman, for example, and she looks fantastic. And we're at the point now where she can more or less hold her shape so long as she doesn't turn her head too much or whatever. And that kind of consistency is called persistence, I think is the term that they're using for it. So you've got AI, which does great human faces. And everything else looks a little wonky, to be honest with you, a little creepy, a little weird. You cannot, for example, build a rover in AI and orbit around it because the AI doesn't know what the back of the rover looks like. You can tell it to show a back of a rover and a front of a rover, but it doesn't know what the rover looks like because it's not dealing with points in 3D space like CG is. So I've got a sample. Yes, we've got a sample, don't you worry. So my holy grail for me in my little virtual studio of realism is finding a way to do a science fiction project almost exclusively in CG where have absolute control over everything and things are looking really, really good, but cheating the humans with AI to make them look like real people. Now we get to the point where we're about to roll some tape here. The premier game engine in the world is Unreal Engine, and Unreal 5.5 is, as we record this, the current version of Unreal. Unreal, about 2 years ago now, I guess, put out something called MetaHumans, which was a sort of an out-of-the-box CG character that had all of the blend shapes in it so that the eyes would move, and you could facial motion capture off of the Apple iPhone. The iPhone 10 and above, I want to say the 10 and above, this one here, okay? This iPhone has facial recognition. And for facial recognition to work and not be cheatable, it has this phone, when it looks at me, so I look at the phone and I touch it and the phone opens up because it recognizes my face. It does the Face ID, right? But the only way that works is because this camera is actually looking at me in 3D. It's not just looking at a flat image. Otherwise, I could hold up a picture of myself and unlock somebody else's phone. You just take a photograph of, Natasha, hold it up to her phone, and that won't work. So this thing has the ability, it sends, it's not active, but it senses contours. And so the facial recognition lenses and software in the iPhone map the human face. And because they map the human face, you can use the iPhone as a really high quality facial motion capture device. So I did an interview with the 4 astronauts on the moon in Major Mace Mattingly. Mace, Sinclair, Gordon, and oh, come on, Davenport. Okay, and I spent a lot of time in the metahuman thing, making these faces look exactly the way I want them to. It took me forever to get Mace right. Sinclair came along pretty quick, and so did Gordo, and I had to spend a lot of time on Davenport because I didn't want him looking too much like Mace. But I got 4 very different guys, and I liked the way they looked very much. Then I said, now if I could find a way to use AI to superimpose AI faces over the metahuman faces, that's actually easy. But getting the faces to look like the AI is, sorry, to get the AI faces to look like the CG faces that I spent so much time and effort on, that's really hard. And I've been working with a guy named Connor who's been working on this for weeks now, and I keep telling you, we're going to have something, we're going to have something. We've got a partial test, and it's got a lot of problems with it because what we're doing is very, very difficult. But it will definitely get the point across. So we've got about 20 or 30 seconds of the interview, and the interview consists of the 4 astronauts plus a woman who I really just kind of rushed just to have somebody asking the questions. Didn't spend a lot of time on the woman interviewer. But he has done the AI face replacement. Now, there's a lot of caveats here before I show it to you, and then I'll show it to you and we'll talk about it more after we watch it. The persistence is not very good. In other words, especially with Mace, and to some degree with Davenport. The first time you see Davenport, it looks nothing like Davenport. Then the second 2 times you see him, it looks perfect. It's exactly like Davenport. Sinclair looks nothing like Sinclair. He needs some work. Gordon is close, but Gordon is too young. Gordon's going to have to be older. And Mace is too old. The AI is instructions that Connor gave to the AI makes Mace Mattingly too old, and his nose is too prominent. But you will definitely get the idea. So I told him not to worry about the matte lines, so that's a little fuzzy around the edges. I'm not concerned about that. At this point, it is a proof of concept. Can we make this look like real people? And I think the answer is yes, we can. Now, one of the things I also found is that the AI is looking at each one of the frames of the metahumans, which is CG. So we're putting AI on top of CG, and it's amplifying the gestures so the AI characters are overacting. I can correct that by doing less with the CG characters. One of the ways to make a CG character come alive is to be especially expressive, especially with the eyes. Because when you look at most metahumans, they're just staring there. They turn over here and they talk, and they turn over here and they talk. But nobody acts them out. Nobody does the performance with the eyes, and that's what made that's what sold Dios for Dungeon. Because all you can see through the helmets is the eye slits. But these quick little looks, these little asides, that really sells it. So here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a clip 3 times. The first clip is about 25-30 seconds of the original Metahumans interview, full frame Metahumans interview. Then you'll see full frame AI superimposed over the Metahumans. You're going to see a lot of changes. I'm not happy with Mace. I'm not happy with Sinclair. I'm pretty happy with Gordon. I'm not happy the first time you see Davenport, but the second 2 times you see Davenport, he's perfect. And the interviewer woman, especially in the middle, is perfect. Perfect. So, I've got to queue these up on both, so there's going to be a bit of a delay. So let me do Twitch first, and then I'll switch to YouTube, and then actually I'm going to do YouTube first. So remember, it's the pretty much the best out of the box you can get CG, followed by the AI superimposed on top of the CG, followed by a side-by-side comparison so you can see the difference and just how much better this composite technique that I'm betting the farm on really is. I changed my mind for a 3rd time. We're going to start with Twitch because I got to drag this in here. Okay, ready? Here we go. 3 times. Here we go.
Well, today we're very proud and pleased to have a chance to speak with the 4 men that astonished the entire world just a few weeks ago with the official confirmation of Project Horizon and everything that entails. Gentlemen, you may not be fully aware of this, but right now you are likely the 4 most talked about men in the world, and yet we know nothing about you. Now, Major Mattingly I understand you're in command up there. Can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure. My name is Robert James Mattingly Jr., and I'm a major in the United States Air Force.
Well, I've never heard anybody refer to you as Robert or Bob or.
Yes, sir, Major Bob.
Well, today we're very proud and pleased to have a chance to speak with the four men that astonished the entire world just a few weeks ago with the official confirmation of Project Horizon and everything that that entails. Gentlemen, you may not be fully aware of this, but right now you are likely the four most talked about men in the world, and yet we know nothing about you. Now, Major Mattingly, I understand you're in command up there. Can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure. My name is Robert James Mattingly Jr., and I'm a major in the United States Air Force.
Well, I've never heard anybody refer to you as Robert or Bob or.
Yes, sir, Major Bob.
Well, today we're very proud and pleased to have a chance to speak with the four men that astonished the entire world just a few weeks ago with the official confirmation of Project Horizon and everything that that entails. Gentlemen, you may not be fully aware of this, but right now you are likely the four most talked about men in the world, and yet we know nothing about you. Now, Major Mattingly, I understand you're in command up there. Can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure. My name is Robert James Mattingly Jr., and I'm a major in the United States Air Force.
Well, I've never heard anybody refer to you as Robert or Bob or.
Final frame of
Yes, sir, Major Bob.
Davenport.
Well, today we're very proud and pleased to have a chance to speak with the four men that are.
Yep. Okay. So, Mobile Moto says another 10 years you might have something there. It's going to take a lot less time than that. The difference is astonishing. It is a one, again, we got one person on my end and another one person on his end. He's got a big channel with a lot of subscribers. He's working on that. So basically, what I said to him was, I'd made him an initial offer to do this. He's going to output what he's got, and then I'm going to pay him a little additional money to work on the notes, because Mace is too old. And I said, Mace is boyish. He's always got this kind of smile. The improvement in the interviewer is just shocking. She looks different in the beginning, but in the middle, she looks great. And I think, do I still have, hang on a second. I had a couple of frames here. Hang on a sec. Where did they go? Just one second. Here, like this shot. I mean, that's not only does this person not exist. Whoa, I'll just leave it that size. Not only does this person not exist, I created this person. I built this person. And I played around until I got this person looking exactly the way I wanted him to. Let me find I got another still. Just give me 1 second to grab it here. I've got another still of I am a god. I've got a still of Davenport that's just perfect. Let me just find it. Give me 1 second. Sorry, it's worth it. Because if I can get everything to this point, then we will be in business. is it? Okay, I have to get it out of the mail. Hang on a second. Just take a second. Come on. Here it is. So this, whoops. Sorry. This is, actually I have to say, he looks like J.R. Bob Dobbs. Now here we go, YouTube, hang on. But that's Davenport, man, and I just can't get over it. What have I done? Oh, I know it started. I don't want that to start again. There we go. Yeah, I mean that's him. That's exactly the guy. So let me turn these off here. And turn these off here. Okay, so where I'm going with this is I basically took a look at this and the amount of work he's put in, and I basically said, hey, let me pay you what I said I'd pay you for the work you've done so far, because he's done 5-6 weeks of work. And I said, and maybe I can pay you a little extra to do the notes and get these guys in. This software is improving by the day, so it's important to me that it's helping his career, because he's a young guy just getting, relatively young guy just getting started, and he's got a good channel, and this persistence is everything. So he has a random number seed. He just changes the seed number and it generates a different face, and he keeps playing around with the seed until he gets a face that he likes, kind of tries to lock that down. And it's going to work, man. It's going to work. When you get into things like I don't know, things like the helmets and stuff, it's going to be a little bit tough, but it's doable. So I was, I don't know, I was just really pleased before that. Yeah, a lot of criticism here, so as usual. But in any event, it's a work in progress, and it's getting better by the day. So I'm real happy with that. And if we can get the characters locked, if I can get just these 4 guys locked, then I think I can probably get him to show me how to do that part of the AI. There's no way I can. I just don't have the drive space in the head to learn how to do this from scratch. But I am convinced that if we can get the characters locked, and there's a seed number for each character, that it uses, then I can find my way through enough of that to be able to go ahead and do Major Mace Mattingly and as people. So let's talk a little bit about. Let me just answer this one question, and then it's a political question, and then I'll come back to the evolving situation of the shows at Bill.com. Let me just deal with this real quick. From BGERB66, Bill, do you think President Trump is serious about getting Greenland as part of the U.S., or do you think he's trying to Denmark? To put Denmark in an awkward position so that they relinquish control of Greenland? Well, as people have pointed out, we already have a number of bases on Greenland. The Chinese are in the Arctic in a big way, and so are the Russians. I think that the solution for Denmark Greenland could probably be talked into independence from Denmark without too much trouble. I personally, I haven't been there. I know some people said, oh, they're real enthusiastic about it. I think convincing Greenlanders to become Americans would be a tough sell, but they don't have to be. I think probably a solution is something along the lines of a protectorate or maybe a territory where Greenland doesn't really change at all, instead of being, a protectorate or a territory of Denmark, to become a protectorate territory of the United States. But it doesn't change their culture. They don't have to. They don't have to speak English. They don't have to. None of that. And we could certainly make them an offer that would make them all much, much richer. So I think there's a good chance of Denmark becoming something like a territory, and that would be well in our interests. It's really, yeah, we did the math, and I consistently and repeatedly insisted on the math that I got completely wrong. I absolutely got it wrong. I couldn't believe it was as easy as it is. What was the number? Was it 56,000 people there? So it would be $56 billion to make every one of them a millionaire. $56 billion out of a $800 billion defense budget. Thank you very much, Transformation Generation. Yes, I did. I got her nose, her hair, all that stuff. So I'm real jazzed about this. I'd love to be able to give it full time and really get back on that and so on. So let me talk a little bit about the change in things, because Major Mace Mattingly was and things to come both were products of 2022 coming out of the I'm sorry, this super chat I don't want to miss. Bill from Sung Wukong. Have to apologize. I think you got thrown off live today. I put in the live chat a message about it being streamed on X, and 2 seconds after you were off. I'm so sorry. I don't think it was you at all, son. Thank you very much for apologizing, but I appreciate it. No, I don't think it was you at all. I don't think it had anything to do with you. A number of other people lost the stream as well, so I didn't even bother to go look at it. I'm so bloody sick of YouTube, but there they are. They're the center of the universe when it comes to, media. So I think we could make an offer to Greenland that would be a good offer. Let me talk about Mattingly and stuff. When I first had the idea, Mattingly was essentially a device for me to criticize woke and the Biden administration. And the elevator pitch line is, the four guys are sitting on the surface of the moon in lounge chairs. They're watching an old style, console TV. Dylan Mulvaney is being beamed down to the moon from Earth. These guys were launched in 1966, but they're looking at 2023, 24. And they look at Dylan Mulvaney, and one says to the other, see, this is what happens when you don't let little boys play with guns, with toy guns. Well, Dylan Mulvaney is stale old news, thank God. But the entire idea of observing and criticizing, the idea was that you would look at 2024 through the eyes of 1966 and see how far we've fallen. But now, given the complete change in everything, not just the political victories, but just the change in the air, now I think it's much more appropriate for them to be basically cheerleaders. Like, we've been up here this whole time. Let's get going. Think of all the things that we're able to look at, all the things we did 40, 50 years ago. You should be able to and make it much more positive and much more directed towards Gen Z and even alphas. Just more like, hey, we're on the moon surfing. And we're having a ball. You don't have to walk on tiptoes without fear of offending somebody. It's fun when you have friends to figure out how to offend your friends. I talked to my friend Steve, who I hadn't seen in a long time. He called me and texted me. It took me 3 days to get back to him. I said, hey, man, sorry it took so long to get back to you. It's just I don't like you very much. And off you go. I think that a much more positive message is essential. It has to be, because you can't criticize. I don't want to criticize the Trump administration. In fact, we can make the election of Donald Trump be what Trump ordered them Trump released them from their secrecy oath. And and there are some very good. I've used them on Biden with the Biden discount pardon warehouse. I can type in words that basically says President Trump have determined that this mission, which has been going on in secrecy for 60 years now, is has these men have served their purpose honorably. We can't get them back yet. We're working on it. Elon's working on it, but I've told them I've released them from the secrecy oath, and it's something along those lines. You see, so yeah, it gets declassified along with JFK, RFK, MLK, and all the rest of it. I think people are going to be disappointed with those declassifications, but I might be wrong about that. If I am wrong about that, it will certainly be interesting. Trump pardoned 1,500 January 6ers. Well, so far he's at 1/10 of what Joe Biden has pardoned. I don't know what Biden's final number was, but it was in excess of 10,000 pardons, including Fauci and Milley. So you don't get to prosecute Milley for treason. That's fine. Just cashier him. Cashier him. And do what you can. John said roughly 8,000. It was 8,000 plus when I did the Pardon-O-Rama, and he's pardoned at least 2,000-3,000 since then. So it's in excess of 10,000. I'm sure. Cashier Milley publicly, say he's fired, and do whatever you can to him as commander-in-chief, and say, we are making an example of General Milley, that no matter how he feels about the civilian leadership, that does not give him the right to make a telephone call to our geopolitical enemies and tell them that he's on their side. That's treason. And there's no other word for it. So, our Constitution says he's pardoned, then he's pardoned. But he is cashiered. He is retiring, and he should retire in disgrace. He should have retired the second it was made public that he had accomplished such a heinous act. Just cashier them all. George beat me to it. I kind of like, there was an old show on TV called Branded, a Western show with Chuck Conrad. Chuck Conrad? Sounds right. Chuck something. Where he's the premise of the story is that a guy's Chuck Connors. Thank you. Sorry, I knew that didn't sound right. Chuck Connors, and in Branded, he's run out of the cavalry as a coward, even though he wasn't a coward. He's falsely accused of being a coward. But the opening episode, the opening theme every time, branded with a coward's name, and there's Chuck Connors standing there at attention, and they come up and they break his sword and they rip his epaulets off and kind of boot him out of the fort, and then he has to spend the rest of his the rest of the episodes, the rest of the series, trying to clear his name, and it's branded. I never forget that theme. It's actually a pretty cool theme. Chuck Connors. I just got an snap on my YouTube stream. Let's see if that'll refresh. Please refresh. Yes, it refreshed. Okay. The Constitution specifically excludes treason from any acts of pardon. Well, that's interesting. Patrol says federal employees have been ordered back to work full time. Yeah, you have to go to work in order to get your paycheck. Imagine that. Just like the rest of us, you have to go to work. I'm telling you, man, the rifleman was the rifleman Chuck Connors as well? Or wasn't the rifleman Clint Eastwood? Brandon was a coward's name, says Marisha. Clever. Anyway, that's what you should do with Milley. Just cashier him. And I suspect Hegseth is the guy to do it. All right, let's have a look at some questions, why don't we? Dershowitz says that the pardoned can no longer plead the Fifth because they're not in jeopardy, presumably. Um, marked with the coward's name. Nah, it's been 55 years. Oh, Clint was Rawhide. Okay, Rifleman was Chuck Connors. All right, I got it. I had to. At least I remember them vaguely. I wasn't even born yet. I was still -7 in 1964, whenever those things were written. Now I'm a 50s kid, man. You know, I made it 9 months into the 50s, which is shocking if you think about it, really. All right, let's see what we got. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that one still of Davenport looks a lot like J.R. Bob Dobbs with that cheesy smile. It looks like a combination of Bob Dobbs and the amazing Kreskin, which is fine with me. He's a character. He looks like the character I designed. That makes me happy. The Assassin of the Gray says, Mr. Whittle, I thought a person had to be charged with a specific crime for a pardon, not a to whom it may concern about unspecified event. I agree. That had been my argument from the beginning, was how can you pardon somebody for crimes that have not, for charges that have not been brought yet? And a number of people have said these preemptive pardons, these unconditional pardons, set a terrible precedent. It's not a pardon, it's a get out of jail free card. Oh, Lapko's got it for you. Branded, scorned as the one who ran. What can you do when you're branded? But you know you're a man. Wait, is there a subgenius angle here? No, I'm just saying that this picture of Davenport in the YouTube stream. Nope. He's got a little bit of a J.R. Bob Dobbs kind of a look, don't you think, Patrol? Put a pipe in that guy's mouth, you pretty much got, it's the eyes, I think. You got J.R. Bob Dobbs, the Church of the Subgenius. And Davenport is on the moon looking for slack. It's a bright cast of subscribers, absolutely right. Yeah, pre-pardons are absurd. They are. They're absurd, they're unconstitutional, they're Joe Biden in a nutshell. All right, let's see what we got here. It's very cool that you were Patrol was childhood friends with Ivan Stang. Ivan Stang is one of the is he the actual inventor of the Church of the Subgenius, which was big in the, I want to say, the 70s, late 70s. I first saw the Church of the Subgenius as a series of pamphlets, printed pamphlets that were handed out to me. For those of you, this is our pop culture show, by the way, the Monday show, and if you haven't heard of the Church of the Subgenius, you're really missing something. Ivan Stang created this religion in much the same way as L. Ron Hubbard did, and he called it the Church of the Subgenius, and the spiritual purpose, the spiritual nirvana, and the goal of every member of the Church of the Subgenius is slack. Slack is the state of nirvana. It's the state of perfect slack, where you just don't have to do anything. You're not even, yeah, praise Bob, exactly. And the Godhead of the Church of the Subgenius is J.R. Bob Dobbs, who is the smiling guy with the 1950s guy from all those ads, and they got more and more and more into it, and more deeply into it. Lapko says, I remember the Subgenius stuff from the OKC BBS's bulletin boards, I guess, in the mid 80s. All hail Bob. Yeah. And it got deeper and deeper, and the deeper into it you got, the more ironic it became, and the cleverer it got. Strang was really brilliant to capture, because he not only captured cultism, but he also captured the pop culture. You know, he captured like mainstream culture. He turned mainstream American culture into a cult. That's what at least to me, that's what the Church of the Subgenius was all about. And just the name, you know, is fantastic. and I've forgotten many of the details, but I'll never forget the eternal quest for slack. You do real well with the Gen Z and the Alphas, you know. Bring back the Church of the Chubs, Church of the Subgenius. Hey, it's also football day. Ohio State 31, Notre Dame 15 in the third quarter. I'm rooting for Notre Dame on that one, but I don't have a particular. I don't have anything against Ohio State. I want to say they beat us in a national championship, and then I think we beat them. Patrol says he grabbed a hold of people's need to worship even if they were militant atheists. Yeah, exactly. That's a topic for another time. I think next week, we talked about this before, I think next week I might do for the Monday show, I might just play Long Journey of a Young God by Jack Foley Horkheimer. It's a 55-minute show. I'll just put a picture of Jack up there, and then we'll play it, and you can learn the environment that yours truly grew up in. And Bear says, I saw Bear says, so you're saying ND has a chance? ND has a chance? Absolutely, they've got a chance. They're 2 touchdowns away. 2 touchdowns and a conversion. Yeah, what are they? 2 touchdowns and 2 conversions away. Oh, they're 2 touchdowns and a field goal away. But if Notre Dame scores again, I mean, if Ohio State scores again, then they're in some trouble. They're in trouble anyway. You get the idea. Patrol says he is a Christian and not into any of that stuff anymore. I never obviously took it seriously, but I sure did love it. I thought I could detect comic genius at an early age. I couldn't produce it, but I could detect it. All right, here we go. Questions for 120. Yeah, I think I'll do Long Journey of a Young God next week, and you guys can hear the full genius of Jack Horkheimer when he's not being campy, over the top, Dr. Smith star hustler. He's a much deeper man than that, and a much, much, much better writer. Much, much, much better writer. He's a great writer, Jack Horkheimer. Really, really, really superb writer. Okay, here we go. Let me just see what we got. We got an Ian Nolan, we got a Roadrunner, we got a Capital G Geek, we got a Guy Bailey, we got a Dave Olson, we got an Eric Blake. Yeah, we can do that. Before I get started on these, spend a lot of time on just goofing around on YouTube lately. A lot of time with Star Trek stuff and renderings and classic Trek and looking at clips from classic Trek and stuff. I had a conversation with our Lord, our Overlord, the man who rules the universe from the center of the earth, Victor von Doomcock. And I think probably in another week or two, we will be doing a How to Save Star Trek kind of thing. I'll put on if I go on the starvation diet, I'll be able to put on my jersey, and we'll do a cranky old boomer guide to canonical Star Trek. And it'll be fun. Yeah, like I said, I was watching a bunch of clips of stuff, and the Enterprise from Wrath of Khan is just the most beautiful spaceship ever. There's nothing. I understand that some of the the Enterprise E is kind of tough looking and fast, but it doesn't have any soul to it. I'm not going to even start on Enterprise D with its atrophied hind legs of warp drives and stuff. But the NCC 1701 from Wrath of Khan and Star Trek: The Motion Picture, because I refuse to put a letter after it. That's not Star Trek. We could fix Star Trek. We could get it back. And I just looking at that and thinking about all that stuff and how much I love that ship. I just love that ship. I love it. I'd love to be captain on board. It doesn't have to be Enterprise, If they did a Constitution refit, I'd take NCC 1700. I'd take USS Constitution, and we'd go out there and we'd show Jimmy Kirk a thing or two about how to command a starship. That's what we do, by God. Lapco92 with the Super Chat says, speaking of old westerns, I'm working my way through Cheyenne and Wanted Dead or Alive. McQueen was great, but Clint Walker was a unit. I miss them. Yeah, Clint Walker. That's great. All right, here we go. Ian Nolan. Happy Inauguration Day. I'm posting in faith that everything went smoothly and we actually have the luxury of posting about cultural and aviation topics. We do. Bill, with the wildfires last week, there was a mention of the super scoopers, I think, and their beautiful ugliness. And it's past time for another aviation-related question. I hope everybody strap in. Well, I'll try to make this brief because I don't want to lose the audience, you know. What's the most beautiful, ugly plane out there? The Super Scooper, A-10, Boeing X-32A, Super Guppy. I dare even include the Rutan Boomerang. You know, I think the A-10 is certainly the A-10 is beautifully ugly. Let me think. Not a whole lot of ugly airplanes come to mind because I don't like ugly airplanes. The the Hawker Typhoon has got that huge, uh, you know, air intake in the front. Looks like it just had oral surgery. And that thing could just shred things with its cannons. The Stuka is a really really ugly airplane that has a certain something to it. The first and only control line gas powered Cox engine that I ever had was a Stuka, and the Stuka is the cranked wings and the square tail, the square elevators and the greenhouse canopy. All of that's all ugly, but there's something about the length of the fuselage. There's something about it. It looks like a Barracuda that makes it kind of cool, ugly cool. And obviously, like the A-10, it's a ground attack airplane, so it's not out there for looks. But yeah, I think I'll go with the A-10 on this one. I'll get my windows set up again here if I can. Yeah, okay, here we go. So hopefully that answered it for you there, Ian. I didn't want to spend all day on it. And to be perfectly honest with you, not a whole lot of ugly airplanes come to mind. The Super Guppy is ugly, obviously. It seems like I'm missing something that's right in front of my nose. Oh, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I think is a really ugly airplane, and I'll probably get a lot of disagreement on this, but I think the F-105 Thunder Chief is a hideously ugly airplane. I think everybody thinks, oh, really sleek looking, with the wing scoops and the Coke bottle fuselage from the. I hate the 105. I just hate it. The F-100, on the other hand, is probably my favorite. I think it's my. I think of all the airplanes in the world that have an emotional effect on me, I'm going to have to go with the F-100. But the 105 is nasty. Just what a junk airplane. I know. I just hate that damn thing, and they sure lost enough of them. I forgot what what some of the nicknames for the 105 were. The Thud and the Lead Sled, and I don't know. Anyway, there you go. The That's all you need to know about it. The Thud, the Lead Sled. I love the F-18 Super Hornet. F-18F, the two-seat Super Hornet is my airplane. That's what I fly in DCS. I just love it. I've been flying online a lot, so I've been flying the Legacy Hornets. I am consistently the top scorer on multiplayer, players versus the computer. And the reason is because I concentrate on air-to-air only, and I've got the AIM 174 long-range missiles, and I just take 6 of those babies up to 38,000 feet, and I just lock and fire and knock them down, man. When other guys might be getting 300-400, I'm getting 700-800 points on these servers, and I'm getting better with the a lot of times these guys will creep in a range. Next thing you know, you got a radar warning, and you're diving for the deck, and you're dropping all the chaff that's ever been made in the world, and you're switched to jamming on, and you're just trying to use cover. And next thing you know, he's in knife fighting range, and you've got these humongous heavy missiles the size of frickin' telephone poles under the wings, and you're just trying to come around the circle and mad dog an AMRAAM in their general direction. I've had that work a couple times. A couple times I've had to get into Sidewinder range, and one time on the multiplayer server, I actually got a guy with guns, which is almost unheard of on a multiplayer server. But there you go. Okay. Moving on. From Roadrunner. Greetings, Bill. I hope following you, Stephen Scott. I hope after following you, Stephen Scott, since your early PJ TV days, it's okay to finally address you informally. You can always call me Bill. Anybody here, call me Bill. Don't call me Mr. Whittle. I think you're talking about my dad. No, I love people who are friendly with the Bill thing. I don't refer to myself as God Emperor or variations of that. I'm just plain old Bill. Yeah, that's a great point. P7 2017 says, I think he mentioned it last time. I saw it recently within the last couple of days. Dick Bong, a P-38 Lightning pilot and America's leading ace in World War II, 40 kills, I want to say. He killed a crocodile with his Lightning. I bet that thing just turned into frickin' chowder. Just chowder. Just I bet he just dove on that thing with those, was it 650s in the nose of the, I want to say it's 650s in the nose of the P-38. I bet he just chewed it into pulp. I would like to have seen that. I'm not a fan of crocodiles. Love gators. Not a fan of the crocodiles. Last week, Bill Maher referred to Ellie Mae Karen Bass as America's greatest Nero. Oh. Ooh, that stings. Is using new media to mock progressives and their radical ideas still a good way to combat their insanity? If politics is really downstream from culture, is there really a cultural revolution of a good kind this time underway? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And Bill Maher's leading the charge. And a 20 millimeter cannon? Yeah, that'll do it. 450s and a 20. That's what it was. Yep. Ooh. And they're all bore sighted dead on, right? They're all shooting from the center. You just can't miss. Yeah, that's got to be a thrill. I got to know Mike Melville rather well. Mike Melville's the first civilian astronaut. 15 years before the guys went up on that flight in the first Dragon capsule flight. Mike Melville flew above the Kármán line. Did it twice. Or may have done it 3 times. On Spaceship One with Burt Rutan. And I talked to Mike Melville. Burt Rutan at Scaled Composites had built an airplane called the Ares, which is a carbon fiber attack aircraft. And like a Burt Rutan aircraft, a very, very unusual looking. It was really light, but very agile. But they put the big gun, the GAU, on that airplane because it was designed as a potential replacement or competitor replacement, I guess, for the A-10. So you got this very light airframe and built around this gun the same way the A-10 was built around the gun. And I suspect A-10 pilots feel this too. But Mike Melville said that the Ares was so light that he actually got to fire the GAU from the air, and he dove in on this target. And Mike said once you pulled the trigger on that cannon, he said it felt like you hit a brick wall and that the airplane was flying backwards. That's how much recoil that thing was putting out. He said you just diving on this target and all of a sudden and it wham, and then you almost feel yourself getting pushed backwards because you're decelerating so fast from this monster of a cannon, and there's just nothing to push against. So that must have been a bit of an experience. I don't know, man. That would have been a little weird. Yes, it's happening everywhere. He goes on to say, thank you for providing great entertainment and great information in equal doses. It's a mystery to me, but thank you for saying so. P.S. if you haven't already, you have to check out the newly revised WhiteHouse.gov website. President Trump is somebody who really understands his base. Yes, the new landing page is Trump just pointing, and it's like, we're done messing around now. The era of dicking around is over. I was so impressed by that speech. I was just loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. It was everything I could have hoped for and much more. Just, just stating, we got people from all over the world, and I know some people, people generally here are fans of America because we're all fans of America here. But people don't really understand this American swagger thing because, and I can't explain it, I think most Americans, real Americans, understand what I'm about to say. We don't take it seriously, this swagger, but it's also real. So it's like part of it is a stage walk, but it's predicated on a really deeply held belief, in American exceptionalism, and I don't like it when it gets jingoistic to the point of insulting other countries. I don't think it has anything to do with other countries. I think that's the point I'm trying to make here. I think other countries hear about American swagger and they think, oh, you're saying you're better than us. We're not saying we're better than you. We're just saying we're real impressed with ourselves. I don't know how else to put it. It's really not about you. It's not a nah, we're better than you. It's just kind of like, damn, it's awesome being American. It's just freaking awesome. It's just I can't believe I'm a member of the club. If I wasn't a member of the club, I'd do everything in my power to become a member of the club, as my wife did. So it's happening. Roadrunner says we don't need to insult other countries. We're too good for that. Yeah, it's that kind of it's kind of like we know it pisses some people off, and that kind of is amusing, especially since we catch a lot of grief from European intellectuals. Your culture, you're fat. Well, we are fat. I expect Bob Kennedy might have something to do about fixing that, because we weren't fat before. Just look at Star Trek, the original series. Look how thin McCoy and Spock are. I mean, Shatner is considered heavy, and he's trim by today's standards. The sweaty fat guy, Thumper, the sweaty fat guy says, I'd say we're better, but I'm a veteran, and we proved it several times. There you go. And Dave Master says, we're not saying we're better than you, but we're not saying it. Yeah, there you go. It's confidence. And people like confidence. And there's nothing worse than a big, powerful guy who's a crybaby. So enough of that. Yeah, Curly from the Three Stooges, Dave Big Booty says, was considered fat. He was considered crazy obese. He's still a big guy, but he's not, rolls of fat. So there you go. Yep, yeah, Kirk's Bamboo Bazooka says, Daddy actually used the phrase golden age at the beginning of his inaugural speech and the word exceptional at the end. The second he said about to enter a golden age, I said, well, that's bold statement. So yes, but the culture, the pop culture is in full, woke is in full retreat. DEI programs are being shut down in virtually every corporation. The left had everything. And by the way, they won't have everything again. The tools that they use to have everything, namely the news media and the Hollywood entertainment system, those weapons are not available anymore. They cannot pick them up and use them anymore. Hollywood hasn't mattered for 10, 15 years. There was a time when a George Clooney endorsement or something like that meant something, but now it's an albatross. And the mainstream news media, which used to control the information flow, is irrelevant now. Nobody watches them. Joe Rogan and the 2024 election proved that the mainstream media is no longer relevant to the discussion. It's just plain not there. They cannot get back their mastery of the culture because their weapons are obsolete now. They have been outdone by the democracy of the internet. And they did all the damage they could, and they're going to burn more on the way out. Don't mistake that for a second. Just look at what Biden did during his last several days in terms of, well, I'm just going to burn down more institutions. I'm going to issue unconditional pardons for crimes that haven't been committed yet, or at least haven't been charged yet. It's a terrible precedent. He doesn't care. What does he care? He doesn't care. So, in any event, yeah, and Dave Boutet brings up a good point. He said it all started with the red letter media's takedown of the Phantom Menace, which still is one of my favorite things ever, not only on the internet that I've ever seen. With Mr. Plinkett's reviews of the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Return of the, or was it is it Revenge of the Jedi, or I don't even know what. Revenge of the Sith. I don't remember what these damn things are called. Are masterpieces. They're not just funny, but they're masterpieces of movie criticism. And they've Red Letter's faded from prominence and been completely replaced by Critical Drinker. I suppose with the way things go, he will eventually fall by the wayside as well. The pop culture is a bubbling cauldron where things bubble up to the surface, and I don't want to see that happen for Critical Drinker. I really admire the guy. Things are constantly in motion, and this is why sticking around has a quality all its own. You never know when you're going to find yourself on top of another bubble that's going up. So there you go. But anyway, that was that. So yeah, Roadrunner, they're in full retreat everywhere. And Bill Maher is leading the charge. I mean, Bill Maher is damn near red-pilled. He's still too invested in it, but he gets closer every day. And if it happened to Elon Musk was never nearly as deep blue as Bill Maher. And Bill Maher can't really go completely MAGA because he'll lose his show. But he's bringing his audience with him. When he talks about all of these far left extremist things, he's basically doing the only thing he can do, which is saying good liberals are not this far left as these leftist lunatics are. And you can make that case for the right as well. There was a time, in the Pat Robertson when there were, that Christian flag was flying, and that idea was that, where Christianity became a political movement rather than a religious belief, I found that to be unappealing. I thought it demeaned Christianity, to be honest with you. And I thought the flag was, this is my personal opinion, I thought the Christian flag with the, was it a white field with a blue quarter and then a white cross on the blue? That's perfectly fine flying over churches, but to make that a political symbol is just demeaning, I think, to Christianity. But Elon shows you can come back from that, and there you go. So we'll see. So yeah, Lord Bio says the early '90s religious right was a negative for conservatives. I think it was, and Maher is basically trying to make the mirror argument on the left, where he's basically saying we don't want to go any further down this road. Look, we're losing badly because of this extremism. So I hope that's the case. We'll see. Capital G Geek says greetings from the swamps of Northern Virginia, as usual. Hello from the burned out wasteland of Los Angeles. You'd mentioned Nosferatu, and it's on my list of movies to watch. One recent movie you may enjoy is All You Need Is Blood. I watch a lot of bad movies and some not so bad. I'm always looking for something less predictable or that has a new spin on things. That's the thing about Robert Eggers, is that he is a very original filmmaker. He's visually crazy original, and the thing about Eggers is Eggers not afraid to deliver the goods. I saw The Witch, and the baby disappears. It's a pretty famous scene where she's playing peekaboo with the baby. The daughter, who's the subject of the story, is playing peekaboo with this baby, and peekaboo, 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 and then she opens her eyes again, the baby's gone. And I thought, okay, I've seen this kind of thing before. We're never going to see the witch, The witch has taken the baby, obviously. Or the devil has something. Something's taken the baby. The baby's not there anymore. She's screaming. But that's it. That's all we're not gonna see anything. And then the next thing you know, you see this dark, dark, dark cabin in the firelight, and you see this ancient old crone bathing this baby, preparatory to eating it and bathing in its blood. It's like, oh, wow. There's a scene in Nosferatu with the two children that's like, oh, well, okay then. All right. And in the lighthouse, the whole thing could be a kind of an in your mind kind of a thing. The way Blair Witch Project, you never saw the witch in Blair Witch Project. Blair Witch Project scared the daylights out of me. I have to tell you, it really scared me badly. Well, not badly, but I was in the movie. I was thinking, oh no, I don't want to go in that room. I really don't want to go in that room, and I don't know what's clawing at the outside of that. Now, Blair Witch Project was brilliant because they didn't show you the witch ever, and the reaction of the actors was so good when she comes running out of the tent and starts going, "What the f is that? What is that? What?" It's like, holy. And you think you see it, but you don't. But Egger, he'll show it to you, man. He'll show you the mermaids. He'll show you he'll show you everything, and his storytelling is visually is just so brilliant. And the other thing I like about Egger is that all of his stuff is historical, and for me they're history lessons because they're very carefully researched. The accents in The Witch are perfect. John Persing says, after Blair Witch, I never went in the woods again without a battle rifle and 3 friends with rifles. Yeah. Did I cry like a girl or did I cry like a Viking? Roadrunner has breaking news. A conservative activist who's been on the board of a group supporting January 6th defendants has been named interim U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. They're getting the whole... Hi, Judith. They're getting the whole double barrels, man. Yeah. Lapko says Witch was creepy. It was creepy. And that's the thing about Egger. Egger has the ability to make every frame of his movie feel like something is very, very wrong, and you don't really want to be there, which is exactly what you want in a horror film. So I thought that was great. What are some of your best bad movies, and what criteria do you use to judge them? By the way, today feels more like Christmas, doesn't it? It does. Feels like Christmas and New Year's together. Also, you mentioned you'd like to grow your subscribers. An easy way to do that may be to just increase engagement on the website, blogs, or forums. Yes, that's absolutely true. Which is time I need to dedicate. I should dedicate time like that every day, and just because I have gone into the comment sections on some occasions, not very often. Yeah, and that's great advice, and thank you for it, capital G. Castellan says David Lynch was the master of that too, and that's the word I was looking for. Dread. Dread is the word. It's like the voice. Nosferatu works because of the voice of Orloff, not the appearance of Orloff. Many people are disappointed by the appearance of Orloff. I wasn't disappointed. I thought it was a different take on things, but the voice is the whole. It's all of it. It's all of it. It's an incredible piece of acting by Skarsgård, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got an Academy Award for it. He certainly deserves a nomination for it. So yeah, and now again, for our audience, which is a conservative audience, there's a lot of sexual content in all of Robert Eggers' films, and this one is no exception, so just be warned about that. All right, so let's see what we got here left. We got a Guy Balo, we got a Dave Olson, we got an Eric Wake. Guy Balo. I was thinking the other day, now that we're in the age of drone warfare, would it be possible to use a C-130 or go big and use a C-17 as a mothership to launch a drone swarm? Yes, this is not only possible, but it's actually being tested right now. If you wanted to be extra sneaky, use a stealth bomber. I know that they experimented with midnight fighters launched from bombers. Would it be theoretically possible to recover the drones back into a cargo plane or even a modified bomber after they completed their mission, or would they all have to be suicide drones? If it were possible to recover them, theoretically, you could rearm and refuel them in the air and send them out again. You could have a variety of sizes of drones, some suicide and some reusable depending on the mission. If this type of drone warfare is possible, it's essential that America perfects it. Amen. I think if we can catch a rocket in the air, we should be able to land a drone back on an airplane. Well said, all of it. One of the many reasons I like Pete Hegseth is because Hegseth is a young guy and understands what's going on right now. And Hegseth is watching what's happening with drone warfare in Ukraine, and or as Alex Hollings on Sandbox News, which is a superb channel, says Ukraine. In Ukraine, Alex Hollings is terrific. But yes, we're doing all these things. So, for example, it's not really a drone, but there is already operational something called Rapid Dragon, and I don't like using Dragon for American hardware. The Chinese can have all their dragons, a Valiant Dragon, and Tireless Dragon, and Fastidious Dragon, and Scurrilous Dragon, and Precocious Dragon, and all of their bloody airplanes are named something Dragon, Prudent Dragon, and Supercilious Dragon, and all. The F-38. Oh, come on. Mendacious Dragon. There you go. You get the idea, right? Chinese can name their stuff dragons. We'll go with eagles. But anyway, there's something called Rapid Dragon that the U.S. has developed. And basically it's a pallet. You push this pallet out of the back of a cargo airplane, and this pallet releases these glide bombs or flying drones, and it just drops 26 of them. There is serious talk about canceling the 6th generation fighter, and there's merit to the argument. I'm not sure I buy the argument. I kind of think I'd like to have a 6th generation fighter, even if it is obsolete, because I've got concerns about losing the edge. But basically what they're saying is if you have a missile with 200-mile range, you don't need a 6th generation fighter and the incredible expense that we've been putting into that. You basically just kick missiles out of the back of a C-17, and the missiles just go fly to the target and hit it. Boom, just like that. So to answer your question in a general sense, Guy, they're basically drones fall into two different categories based on their price and complexity. The smaller drones are suicide drones. They're not really worth recovering in terms of their cost. There's already been air-to-air refueling of drones. Drones have refueled manned aircraft, and I think drones have refueled drones, virtually positive they have. But the expensive drones, the big drones, combat unmanned air vehicles, CUAVs, are sometimes referred to as loyal wingmen. So the U.S. Air Force, or U.S. Military strategy now is to have the first wave, the front line units be stealth fighters, either F-35 or F-22. And these are supplemented by stealth drones that are carrying extra supplies so that the F-35, for example, which is not a dogfighter and was not designed to be a dogfighter, you should never get into a dogfight with an F-35. If an F-35 finds itself in a knife fight, the pilot has failed dramatically. So the idea was you'd have one F-35 and then maybe 4 drone wingmen that are also stealth aircraft, and they're carrying a lot of missiles in internal bays. So instead of the I guess 4 AMRAAMs that an F-35 can carry internally, 4 or 6, I don't remember which. You'd have 4 to 6 internally on the F-35, and you have another 4 internally on 4 other drones. So now you've got 30 missiles you can fling at people and not get detected. Or actually, stealth is a little more subtle than that. It's not a question of they can't detect stealth. They can tell you're out there. They just can't get a actionable lock on you. They can't get a targeting solution. They generally know that there's something out there, but that's useless knowledge if you can't lock it up. And once a missile comes off the jet, if you can force the jet to turn around, the F-35 has 360-degree sensors in both planes. But once the missile comes off the jet, and it has to use its own internal radar, once it goes mad dog and starts using its internal radar, then the radar that you can put on a missile is by design considerably weaker and less powerful and less effective than the radar on the jet that launched the missile. So if you can break the lock from the jet, it's virtually impossible to hit a stealth fighter because the missile's radar is not good enough. So just because you launch on an F-22 doesn't mean you're going to hit the F-22. Nothing's going to hit the F-22. Nothing's going to get close enough to hit the F-22. And I was wrong about the F-35. I believe the F-35 is going to perform superbly in combat because when we get the AIM-260 long-range air-to-air missile, then it's lights out for these guys. These F-35s are going to launch missiles from 200 miles, and no one's going to see them. No one's going to get a lock on them. Hey, Jaeger 1726 says, I flew in the Air Force. What did you fly, Jaeger? Very curious to know. Always congratulations. You had the life I thought I was going to get. I was going to be a fighter pilot from the age of 5 to 17 when I failed the vision test for the Air Force Academy. We have the SR-91 Aurora. Can be anywhere in the world at Mach 6 or 7. You're right. It is Pitbull. Thank you, Christopher. My mistake. Pitbull is when the missile goes to its own internal guidance. Mad Dog is when you launch a missile in the general direction and allow the missile's radar to do the work without getting a lock. Let me reiterate that. I was wrong about that. Pitbull is when the missile goes from being guided by the launching jet to its own radar. That's a Fox 3 missile. And Mad Dog is when you launch a missile in the general direction and hope that the missile's radar can pick up a target and find it. So I'm embarrassed that I got that wrong. I know that, and that's just a stupid mistake on my part. Thumper, the sweaty fat guy, says, I loaded cargo planes in the USAF in the 2 largest airlifts in history. That's impressive. Jaeger responded, then he redacted the message, so I don't know. I'll kind of keep glancing over there and see. But anyway, yeah, it does feel like Christmas, capital G. And so, Guy, Jaeger says you can't replace the A-10 with an F-35. I agree. I think it's insane to think that you could replace the A-10 with the F-35. 100% agree. There's a lot of reasons: susceptibility to ground fire, and loiter time, and airspeed, minimum flyable airspeed. The A-10 needs to stay. We need to have A-10s forever. Now, you can't operate an A-10 in contested airspace. I think that's pretty clear. So you use the F-35s and the F-22s to sweep the airspace. You establish not only air superiority, but air dominance, air supremacy, air dominance. Nothing flies that you don't want to fly that the enemy's got. And then you just use the A-10 to work them over, man. Just put those Hellfires on the wings and the Mavericks and the cannon and the rockets and the cluster bombs, and you just go out there. And I've seen so many videos in DCS of guys, once the anti-air threat is suppressed, you bring in F-16s or something to do the suppression of enemy air defenses, or F-35s could do that. You just chuck some harms that way. And then I don't know if the harm will fit internally in the F-35. I suspect it probably won't, actually. But we've got next generation missiles for that, and we've got the small diameter bombs and all these other things. The small diameter bombs, glide bombs now with the wings that pop out, and that multiplies their range by factor of 4 or 5. We have glide bombs now that can strike 60 miles, 70 miles outside of the range of anti-air defenses. We just drop these bombs that come off the jet, give the jet as high and as fast as you can, to give that bomb as much potential energy and kinetic energy. Get up there high and fast. Drop the bomb. The wings pop out. The thing glides to the target, guided by GPS. The new one. What is the new bomb that's got smart sensors on it? It can track moving targets. And we got a latest from Castellon. 410 left. Notre Dame down by 8. So Notre Dame is in this, man. They're a touchdown away. Touchdown and a conversion. Could drones fill some of the A-10 roles? No, I think the A-10 is perfectly designed, because this is the one thing that I think would be the hardest thing for drones to do. I don't want to trust a drone putting down a line of fire. Stormbreaker, yeah. I don't want a drone putting down a line of fire, 60 yards away from friendly positions. I want pilots doing that. So the drones can take out the air defenses. The drones can take out enemy aircraft and suppression of SAMs. But you can't beat the A-10 for the job. If you can secure the sky, then the A-10 is it. Let's see here. Oh wow, Yeager says flew T-37s at Laughlin as an IP. Tweety Bird pilot. That's a cool little airplane, the Tweet. I know a guy who was a Tweety Bird instructor in the T-37. I got to know him pretty well, actually. He had a lot of fun things to say about that airplane. My understanding is it got a little hot in there in the summertime. And I have to say, man, if I could have one jet in the world, it'd be tempting to want, the Super Hornet, which I just love. But I would take the red tail, the hawk, the red-tailed hawk, that new trainer. That is a gorgeous. I actually think that the Air Force's or the military's new trainer, the red tail, may be the most beautiful jet ever made. I absolutely love that airplane. Yes, Steve Young talks about super tweets in Vietnam, doing close air support roles. Everybody wants to know your call sign, Yeager. I wouldn't be surprised if it were Yeager, but that's up to Yeager. That's it's not something you can really ask somebody unless you're in the club. But a bunch of Air Force pilots got together and gave me one of the best days of my life when they took me down and gave me a naming ceremony at an actual Air Force base. And I came out with Skid, which was given to me by fighter pilots, F-16 jockeys mostly. And it was one of the, it might have been the best day. It was the best day of my life. Best whole day of my life. Certainly the best day of my single life. Yeah. So there you go. All right. Got a Dave Olson? Hey, Bill. How wonderful to talk to you on this auspicious day. You bet, buddy. The sun is shining and the clouds are breaking, and it's my mom's birthday. Congratulations. She shares it with DeForest Kelley, Tom Baker, and Paul Stanley, which is as thoroughly a debunking of astrology as I've ever heard. DeForest Kelley, I miss him so much. Yeager says his call sign was Wheels. Awesome. Well, we're very glad to have you, Yeager, and great to see you in the comments. It's always great to see anybody new in the comments, and especially pilots. I've got a instrument rating in 1,000 hours. I've got about 400 hours in experimental airplanes, mostly long easy. I had a long easy for a year and a half, and I just loved it. Flew that plane like a fighter pilot. I would crank that thing into 60, 70 degree banks in the pattern at Van Nuys. I didn't care. I was just having the time of my life. No propeller to look at, it was fantastic. And that plane was slick too. I mean, the Long Easy has a speed brake comes out of the bottom, and without that, and it's not much of a speed brake to be perfectly honest with you, but without it, you can't slow that plane down. If you're descending into the pattern, it's so slick, it just goes. It's got no flaps. There's nothing to throw out. Fixed landing gear with fairings, boom, it's a monster. But anyway, it's really great to see you, Yeager. He says, I couldn't find that damn light switch just above my wheel handle in pilot training. Hey, Christopher Gordon, glider pilot here with about 300 hours. I've got about 98 hours in gliders, I guess. Mostly in a Grobe 102. I learned in a Grobe 103. I have a little bit of time in a DG, which was an amazing experience. And Christopher, I'm 100% convinced that if anybody is ever going to take flying lessons, if you don't start in gliders, you're going to regret it. I've had, again, it looks like a new name. I've had 3 engine failures in my private pilot career, and all 3 of them were non-events, returned to the runway events. One of them from 8,000 feet, and I don't know, 20 miles. I had to go back to Dublin, Georgia. Blew a cylinder on a climb out in a Velocity RG. But that gets your attention. But then again, then that glider training just comes in. It's like, okay, so this is going to be my 243rd power off landing. Sure, the call sign wasn't slick? No, it was skid. It was perilously close to skid mark, and they showed mercy to me because that would have been more humility than I was particularly ready to take. Funny about that call sign. I remember when I got it, I was like, it was such a great experience. Then on the plane ride home, I thought, skid's not really very cool, and I just like slapped myself. It's like, it's not supposed to be cool, you dumbass. That's the entire purpose of it, is to make sure is to bring you down off your ego. It's an awesome call sign, and the story behind it is a great call sign. Lapco92 says, would you go near a C5 Galaxy? Sure, I'd go near a C5 Galaxy. Watching one fly doesn't seem real. I got a chance to meet a general Air Force general, who flew C-17s. And he said flying a C-17 on a combat approach in Iraq scared the living daylights out of fighter pilots. They said they're never going to do that again. He said this gigantic airplane just drops out of the sky. And boom, there you go. Oh, so Christopher Gordon's heard the story and love every bit of it. Great, super. Moving on. Anyway, back to Dave Olson. So anyway, are you going to ask Kelly Carlson to be the model for Major Mace Mattingly? Hot Russian girlfriend? I can make the model myself, but I can certainly model her after Kelly Carlson. That's not a bad template, if you want to know. But I could definitely get her to do the acting and the voice. Captain Tatiana Mironova. Sure, why not? I'd ask Amy Adams would be acceptable as an alternative, but we don't want Eric Blake to spontaneously combust, do we? No, we don't want Eric to spontaneously combust, since she's got the next question. So, yes, you can expect to see Kelly Carlson in the future. And I haven't seen her in a while. It's been months and months. I need to contact her. In fact, I'm going to make a note to contact her tomorrow, because I've been meaning to talk to her for a long time, and I keep plain forgetting. And it's not easy to forget Kelly Carlson, because she is as cool a person as she is good looking. Okay, Eric Blake, and I think that's Eric Blake for the win, yes. Tonight, the case of the cinema statesman. So, Bill, when Trump's Hollywood ambassador's plan was mentioned last Thursday, you weren't sure what to make of it. I trust you're now more familiar with the matter, so let's get right to it. I'm not more familiar with the matter, but let's get right to it. First, the very fact that Trump is setting out to do this is a vast improvement over how conservatives have approached mainstream cultural involvement for way too long. Instead of just whining and or staying away, actually connect with the Hollywood leadership. Amen. Second, he picked the perfect trio to serve as ambassadors for this reason. As a rule, the left dismisses any openly conservative actor as a washed-up has-been who hasn't done anything in a long time, and therefore somehow isn't relevant. Yeah, watch that with Jon Voight suddenly go from being this brilliant actor to being, he wasn't ever really that good. He's a great actor, one of the greatest actors alive. Well, as anyone with the slightest cultural wellness knows full well, Mel Gibson is at the height of his comeback story with his latest movie, Flight Risk, opening right about now, and Sly Stallone is yet to leave the spotlight at all. See the Tulsa King show, yep. As for Jon Voight, gee, Lefty, how many Oscars you got? Plus, he's a good balance for conservatives with his long-time involvement with the GOP. But the fact that all three Hollywood insiders is absolutely the way to go, three guys who actually know what they're doing where the culture is concerned. What say you? I say yes. I think it's wonderful. And I think the only thing I would say is not criticism at all, because the Hollywood machine is still the Hollywood machine, but the Hollywood machine gets less relevant every day. So they're like legacy ambassadors. Their real power will not be to affect, and I understand this is entirely why they're going. It's not like I don't get that. If they can convince the studio heads that they are losing money with woke, that's not going to be a hard sell. That'll be a simple thing to do. You're losing money with all these woke movies. Snow White, the pristine, perfect example of how to do slam dunk wrong. So why don't you start making movies for this conservative movement that's taking over the entire country, and why don't you go back to being pro-American and see how that affects your bottom line? That's the kind of conversation that a guy like Jon Voight can have with a studio head. Is he can basically just say, yes. that's basically it. Um, uh, yeah, you're saying Bill. There's a series of ellipses. I'm thinking there's message inbound, so I'm clearing the frequency. Um, okay, so a charm offensive, says Kirk's bamboo bazooka. Yes, exactly, charm offensive. That's great. I think that's absolutely great. Um, we're getting a play-by-play about the national championship. OSU first and goal after a 57-yard pass play, and Notre Dame's out of timeouts. It looks like it's for Notre Dame. Yeah, that pass must have made the Ohio State fans nuts, because they probably starting to sweat bullets with them getting within 8. Jaeger says, "Let me thank you. I've been following you for more than." Oh, it was redacted. But I saw. Let me thank you. So you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for support. Pro-American movies sell for the best reasons, says Christopher Gordon. He's right. Because pro-American movies are I mean, this country is based on individualism. I've said this 100 million times before. It's overdue. Hollywood is as left as they come, but entertainment storytelling is conservative. Storytelling is about individuals. It's about individuals, about the guy with the gun and the beautiful girl in the fast car, saving the world from destruction by the bad guy. And this is all the guns, the cars, the beautiful women. This is all stuff the left can't stand, but they can't get around it. One of the reasons that Star Trek Discovery is so awful and so un-Star Trek is because it's all about feelings. People just sitting in the hallway talking about my feelings. You got this, you can do this. No one ever turned to Mr. Sulu, who's my least favorite Star Trek carrier by a large margin, I might point out. But no one ever said when Sulu had to fly some incredible orbit around the sun or something like that to go back in time. Nobody ever said, Chekhov didn't lean over and said, "You got this, Sulu. You can do this. You can do it." It's like he's a professional. These are professionals. These are they're the best in the business. You don't need this kind of, "Oh, way to go, good job." I just hate it. And the spore drive, it has been officially condemned to the what is that mirror prison from Superman? The plane of something or other. It's gone. Doesn't exist. I love science. That's something Mr. Spock will say. Mr. Spock will be, "Mr. Spock, can you tell us anything about it appears to be a freighter from atomic reactor core. Can you tell us if there's any life signs aboard? One moment scanning." I love science. Yes, Captain, there's 3 people on board. I love science. No need to apologize, Jaeger. Everything's cool. Man, all of his messages are being redacted instantly. I don't know if he's redacting them or whether he's being redactified from outside. Anyway, I'm glad these 3 guys are doing it. They're great names. They're all classics. He keeps getting. Now he's. I don't know what's happening with it, but don't sweat it, Jaeger. Everything's cool. There's no reason to get excited or upset on a day like this. This is just nothing but goodness. It's hard to watch. He starts typing and then the message just gets redacted. God damn it, got through. You can save it. It's everything is cozy and cool as far as I'm concerned. Especially since I got through the last question and we get to wrap it up. And this time I don't have to stay late. We got the show out early, and yeah, there you go. We'll sort it out next time, Jaeger. We'll get to it on Thursday. Aussie Drone Guy says the election and term of Donald Trump is the Mariana Turkey shoot of American politics. Yeehaw. Hey, Rube. That was a call sign. Whenever they were in real trouble, or whenever they were if the carrier or the carrier group had a all hands on deck kind of thing for your pilots, right? You got all these airplanes in the air and they're being vectored to their, to their incoming targets and all the rest of it. But if things went to hell, the carrier would call out, "Hey Rube," and once they called out, "Hey Rube," it was a free for all. And I just thought that was a really cool call sign. What do we got here? Oh, here's the mega thread. Thank you for the executive orders. Super. Well, I think it's time to put it away for the night. Thank you for the link. Thank you, Jaeger. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. It's a pleasure and an honor having a fine IP like you on the team, and it sure would be fun to go flying sometime. I'd love to go flying with you in the Tweety Bird and just see if I was as good as I think I am. That would have been fun. But have some time in a L-39, and that was a full-on blast. So we'll look for you in the future, and thanks very much for being here. But yeah, we're not dead yet. Maybe find a way to pick up I'd really like to have a Viper jet. That's a cool-looking home built. You got this, Bill. Thank you, Eric. You got this too. Son of a bitch. I actually lost my cool over that. You can do this, Bill. You got it, Bill. I know I got it. You don't have to tell me I got it. I got it. What do you think I am? A millennial? Did you get your bread for the week? I don't eat bread anymore. I am on a low carb to no carb diet, and I am walking 2 miles a day, 3 miles a day, and taking this seriously. So you get the idea. Millennials rule. Okay, but what do they rule? That's the question. I think if you're going to have a generational nickname, it's going to be tough to beat boomers. Boomers. All right. Anyway, you probably know by now that this show is made possible by the members at BillWhittle.com, who continue to keep this ball rolling uphill and downhill, no matter what. And it's been a pleasure talking with you guys, not only tonight but these many years, and continues to be a pleasure. But today's just a really, really good day, and I think we should all just go ahead and have a good time. Hey, look at that. Short-ass bastard says, "Later, my American cousins, go celebrate." Where you from, short-ass bastard? I don't know whether to call you short-ass or bastard. Where you from? We'll wait for this. We rule and you drool? Ha! Ha! I know you are, but what are we? I'm waiting for you. I'm just curious, because we have cousins. Our Canadian cousin, Aussie cousin, cousin Ernie. Scotland, hurrah! Scotland, lad. That's just epic. What a grand, magnificent people. Absolutely grand, magnificent people. Scotland the brave. Hurrah! Love it. Love it. Great to see you here. Great to see you here. Thank you very much for the kind words. I knew we could count on Scotland. Scotland's immune to the nonsense that England goes through. They're just too cool for that. They're just way too cool for that. Okay, next stream, change it up on us. Start with the lens cap on. I'm tempted to try it, but I'll forget to take it off. You know that, don't you? Yeah, Scotland the brave is epic. All right, take care, Scotland. Take care, rest of the world. Take care, America. Have a great time. Love you guys, and it never ceases to amaze me that people from around the world watch this. I'm surprised that people in my immediate family would watch this, to be perfectly honest with you, and that's if I pay them money. But it's great to be here, and it's a great day to be an American. It's a great day for freedom all around the world, and this is not just an American phenomenon. This populism and returning government to the people of the world is happening all around the planet, and it's just going to get better. So There you go. Thanks for joining us. We'll say goodnight to our friends on YouTube first. Thanks for joining us, YouTube. It's a pleasure. I'm glad you. Thanks for all the kind words about the animation stuff, and we'll see you Thursday night right here for your very own Stratosphere Lounge. Hooray!